avoid tampering and ensure confidentiality in accordance with applicable laws and regulations. Recordings will be saved for no less than 14 days and appropriately destroyed/deleted. 2. Information obtained through video surveillance may only be used for disciplinary investigations, security, or other valid purposes. No sound will be monitored or recorded in connection with the video surveillance system. 3. Any video recordings used for security purposes on school buses, in school buildings, or on grounds are the sole property of the Cohasset Public Schools. Release for such videos will be made only as permissible pursuant to applicable law and with the permission of the superintendent or his/her designee. And then there's a legal reference to the U.S. Department of Justice Programs Published Research Report and the Family Educational Right and Privacy Act. You're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome.
Dr. Schubert.
Yeah, it's pretty well thought out. Just the only comment I have is about the maximum time we want to keep them, the recordings, but I don't think that's necessary as long as we have the minimum.
Well, we discussed that, and some of those limitations are based on the equipment that we have, so depending on what system we purchase, some of them may allow for 30 days, most of them are 14. That's what we found through the other districts that we surveyed for information.
Right, so it's pretty standard.
It is pretty standard. I would like it to be longer.
Right.
But
I don't think we have the capacity at this time.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what it has to do with.
But that one issue could be changed at any point. And Mr. Gillis has a question.
Steve Gillis again. I think you need to rethink that, make it redundant. So when your storage goes down, video, the format that you have, if that should fail, where does it go? Well, it stops. So put that in as a mindset. How do we make that redundant at some point, because you may have a police action, child action, or whatever, something we probably don't want to talk about happen. But think about that. 14 days is probably not long enough.
Right.
Buy more storage. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
Just think about those things.
Thank you. Is there a way that we could perhaps check into extending the storage capacity and what that cost would be? Not that the cost is the be-all and end-all, because it's important for safety reasons, but I'm just
making
curious.
a note.
Okay, great.
Okay. May I ask, first of all, I'm sorry. So I will make a check on that. And first read, and I will clean up the typos, and I'll bring it back to the committee on the 19th of November.
Great.
All right, and then may I ask the committee that before we do the Weebly presentation, is it working?
No, the switch seems to be broken.
Oh, although we might not be, but I wanted to.
Keep trying, and I'm sorry it's broken.
I wanted to bring up the CEF, the gift that we have, and maybe change the order, because you've been sitting here so patiently, and you're looking out the door, so I know. Yes, and as we heard, 2-0 we won.
So it has a motion to change the agenda to move up the gift to more appropriate time, such as now.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chances where if something comes up from the administration or the teachers or from the district, if it's out of their usual grant cycle, they can sometimes dip into certain funds that are available.
That's right, and they have a grant cycle that's in process now that will be coming to a close soon. December? First week in December, I think?
December 12th.
Yeah, so, and I know we have a number of teachers that have already written grants and moved them forward, so we're very excited about that. CEF met on Monday evening. So, one of the things I wanted to have the opportunity, we're hoping we can get this up. We've been having trouble. Mr. Bonnell is in the middle of changing over the server setup, and so everybody's email and so forth has been very slow. So as a result, this room, which is still waiting for a repair, is the slowest. We're seeing if we can get this up. We want to show you the Weebly pages tonight because we were in an early meeting.
So maybe we could move other items?
Yeah, we have one item left we can talk about from my report, absolutely. If you're comfortable, do you need a vote on that, or you want me to just
Ask for a
proceed?
motion to change the agenda to have resignation move forward.
I make a motion to do that.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Okay. So I put in your letter, a letter in your packet, and this is unusual because I don't generally put in resignation letters because most of our resignations occur in June. And that's a typical process during the school year. But because the committee had gone on a cycle and approved this position in the summer and allowed us to start a program at the middle school in the fall, a special program in the fall, I thought it was very important. The individual we hired is very well equipped. Many of the skills that we were looking for, actually kind of surprised we were able to get all the skills we were looking for. And she came, and Jen Wazinski, and she, 2 months in, her husband has to move back to Ohio. She's newly married, and she had to turn her resignation in, and she will be leaving us in December. We have already posted for the position. Mrs. Conley will already, I believe, is already interviewing or set up to interview the beginning of next week. But I felt, in view of the fact that the committee had honored us with the opportunity to hire this individual, I wanted to keep you apprised of what was happening. It's not anything we could have predicted. As she herself said, it wasn't anything she could predict. Her, but she's newly married, and she doesn't want to wait until the end of the year, understandably. So I wanted you to have that information now and just let you know that we've posted in our proceeding forward. And I have, I understand, according to Mrs. Buchanan, some very good candidates. It's unusual during the school year. So, and the answer is, we're on. So what I asked is, Mrs. Demas is here tonight, and we've talked last time about these Weebly pages that our teachers are starting to use. Instead of, I know there's a lot of talk, why don't the teachers use necessarily the pages that are part of School Fusion? But many of our teachers have been participating in technology courses out of Bridgewater State University, and this is one of the classes they took, and when we all met on the opening day of school, a number of the teachers actually taught this as one of those little mini workshops, of which it was bursting at the seams, really. There were lots of people in it. And as a result, we've seen really a regeneration of folks wanting to use those pages, in particular down at the elementary level right now. But I did want to keep the committee apprised of what's happening. So I asked Mrs. Demas if she would come and show a couple of the pages. We won't have you see many. They're lengthy in some cases, but I think, a few minutes to see what our teachers are doing is really helpful, especially because none of you have elementary school children.
The teachers felt that the websites that were allowed to them were not interactive enough, were not thorough enough in communicating with families. So they've developed these great Weebly sites, and some of them paid for the site themselves because they wanted more space. Part of it is free. They went beyond that, and then Mr. Brunel and the superintendent and I talked a bit and managed to extend it to anyone who wanted to create a Weebly. But they're very exciting. Our top contender is the principal herself. With a little help from her friend, she is now in a different website with much more interactive, very current newsletters. There are Friday newsletters coming through, and you can click on these and see them. So this was the beginning of spearheading at Deer Hill. There are a number of teachers at Deer Hill. The real Kool-Aid drinkers were at Osgood. They really went crazy. If I can go back there to them. It's very easy. It's on the website, and it's classroom websites. Several of the teachers have them here. Osgood has, like I said.
Mrs. Eula's website is amazing.
Mrs. Eula? Okay.
My son's in her class. It's great.
That's good.
Do we have the password for that one?
I think we might be able to access it,
Okay.
or your son is in there. She, I'm thinking she now teaches second?
No, she's second grade, yeah.
I may need a password, but,
I think it's in it on his own.
Okay. Some of the teachers have passwords for access and some don't. I can't remember who has and hasn't. We have a list in there.
I'm having a hard time accessing hers. She may need, it may be password protected but open to students. I'm going in as a public person, so she's probably safeguarding those. They should have passwords so that many of the pictures information does not go out to the public. But if we go back,
We'll say he loves the website. They were at the farm the other day on Thursday. She posted many of the pictures on there. He's on this every night. He just thinks it's the greatest thing.
That's great.
It's really a huge success over there.
That's good to hear. We have permission from a few people to post them. This is McPhillips. And here's the website. As you can see. I'm just trying to maneuver all these because they came all at once and I said, oh my, I think I know this.
You know, Mrs. Herb has a movie in hers.
You can also send a teacher a message through it. It's very interactive. I'm sorry, say again?
Mrs. Herb, I think she has a movie in hers.
Mrs. Herb did a movie with the kids on getting ready for the Stanford LSAT.
Mm-hmm.
And it was get a good breakfast, and the kids were singing, and they were holding signs, and from what I hear, they were all in it all night, and I hope they got a good night's sleep and breakfast. We're still looking.
It's cool
Mrs.
they're doing
McDavitt
this
has been
at the,
spending- I'm sorry?
it's cool they're doing this now because in college, that's how teachers, the professors and the students interact.
Yes.
Right.
I
It's
actually
very
attended
much
a
so.
workshop last week on teaching kindergartners to do code.
Mhm.
I'll tell you,
And,
that is so
fascinating.
important.
Mrs. Holland in third grade was doing some of that kind of information with her group this week, so they've really taken hold to the technology. 13 of them are going to be finishing the 12 graduate credit hours in January. So they will be our trainers, and this is part of their work. They're now doing leadership and workshops and working on how to create various websites and social media.
Mm-hmm.
There are weekly updates that was, do you remember the password?
It's on the, I gave you all.
On the sheet. Okay.
Thanks.
I gave you all of them on the, that's why I gave you that pile.
What was it, superintendent's excellence award? It's a student.
Do you want me to go get it?
Can't make it much.
Yeah,
Maybe the third week.
Go look at another one, I'll,
I had such trouble.
given all the passwords.
Yeah, the teachers, I think there are about 25 teachers who have gone in and out of these 12 credit hours. And they have really gone above and beyond. I sat in their first class of their last course, and it was on leadership and being a leader in the school, how to bring collaborative learning together with peers, how to bring other professionals within their areas together and to initiate change, and how to do that in a more permanent way. And I was thrilled at their interaction, their eagerness. They have gone above and beyond anything I thought they would come up with. So it's very exciting. They are the movement. And when we spoke a couple of years ago, Mr. Bernal and the superintendent and I sat and said, the way to really understand technology would be to bring it to the knowledge before we implement the actual technology. And I think that's where we are. That's what's making it so exciting.
And another use for all this, I think, too, I mean, there's times when a lot of students are sick during flu season and things like that. You could have a classroom actually going live, you know, where somebody at home can be watching what's going on if they're well enough to just watch it live.
We've had discussions about putting an entire school on Twitter. There is a school in South Shore that has it's Lost and Found on Twitter. And it goes home. Come claim my boots. So it's been great. There are videos and links. This is Lisa. She worked with Mrs. Herb one day, and she said Mrs. Herb came in half hour later and said, I don't care what you're doing, you have to help me do this. She has a blog, and students can go on the blog. I think
He goes on the blog.
Does too.
Yeah.
Certainly Mrs. Herb does too. They also have a wiki, and they have more about second grade. The students actually post a great deal, and they actually create their own videos. I also was in this particular class where they run their own survey. I would prefer to read to myself. I prefer doing this. So they actually have a say, and they actually talk about what the outcome
I don't know
was.
if your sound is up. We don't have speakers tonight.
Right.
This is Mrs. Barberi's
smiles like the little boy on Charlie Brown.
He is awesome!
He's so happy now.
Very happy.
This is Mrs. Nicholas. She is wonderful.
I think they studied adjectives.
This is Mrs. Nicholas. He is nice.
She is nice.
You know, synonyms get more difficult as you go.
This is Miss Leo's class.
We'll go to fifth or sixth one.
She is cool. This is Mrs. Euler's class. She is terrific.
You definitely studied.
Did you see those desks? You finally get your own desk. In second grade, you do lots of special things like computer, PE, library, music, art, penmanship in second step. You also do lots of learning.
I'm just going to stop this for a time
At
sake,
one
if I could,
moment,
because they have always, and they work as well as a group. There is a video with Mrs. McDevitt who helps parents help their children work on fluency in reading. So it's actually a